Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Yoga with MimiLumi Presents. Again, we're doing the shorter sequences of flows at the moment, so bear in mind that this will come into a little bit more of a dynamic start. So if you need to stop and do any little warm-ups or stretches, please do so now. But if you're feeling ready and ready to go, then we're moving straight on into it. We're coming to our tabletop position to start off with. And let's just take a couple of little side crunches. So we're working head towards hip on the left, and then inhale back through neutral. Exhale, right head towards right hip, inhale back to neutral. So if I change the angle so you can see, just sort of looking at that back heel as you turn, but you're trying to keep your spine somewhat in neutral, even though you're crunching from side to side. Good. And then from here, just a few little rounds of cat-cows. So inhale to tilt the tailbone towards the sky. Lift the chest through the arms and lift the gaze slightly. Exhale, we tuck the tailbone under, arch through the spine. Chin's just really pressing through the pads of the hands. Inhale, reverse that motion. Keep your abdominal muscles switched on to protect your lower back. And then exhale, we thread and tuck under into cat. Inhale, let's come back to our neutral starting spine. Take your hands a little further away from your shoulders now. Tuck your toes under. As you exhale, we'll press into our first downward facing dog. So keep the knees nice and bent. Adjust the hands and feet as you need to. Feel that the shoulder blades are rotating out of the spine and you're really pressing through every pad of the hand and fingertip. Think about taking the tailbone up towards the sky. Don't worry about having straight legs just yet. And when you're ready, you can begin to walk your dog alternate heel presses. We have the right heel coming down onto the floor as the left knee bends, and vice versa. Left knee bends. Left heel comes towards the floor and right knee bends. Move as fast or slow as feels right for you. Good. Then inhale to the balls of both feet. See if you can come to a slightly higher downward dog, maybe working towards straightening the legs. Before you exhale and take a big gusty sigh out. Whew. Let those heels melt down towards the floor. Good. As you inhale, let's come forward to our full plank. We're just going to pause here for a moment before we exhale to come back. And then inhale, softly drop the knees towards the floor. Come to a slight little cow posture. Exhale, we'll come back. So change the angle so you can see if you're a little bit confused. So we're going to inhale forward to full plank, and we'll hold. Exhale, we press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, drops the knees softly. A little cow with your toes staying tucked under. And then exhale, we press back, downward facing dog. Yeah, good. Let's take that 2 more times. Inhale, forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to lower the knees, little cow. Exhale back, downward facing dog. One last time for both. Inhale forwards to full plank. Exhale back. Soften those knees. Inhale, little cow. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Lovely. From here, drop the knees again softly towards the floor. And we're going to come into a variation of our downward facing hero, but you'll see that the toes are staying tucked under. Just to really stretch out through those toes. Work those hands forward and bring the heart center towards the floor. So your feet and your knees are about hip width distance apart and they're parallel here. Nice deep breaths in and out. So this is kind of where I want you to regulate and touch in the breath. We jump straight into some flow just to get some kinks out, to get some movement into our body. And now think about your breath as you breathe in and out through the nose, how it's feeling. Where in the body you might be holding any tension. And then let's inhale to look forwards between the hands. Exhale back to hands and knees tuck toes under if they aren't already. And press back into downward facing dog. Inhale, let's take our right leg up nice and high. Exhale, really try and draw the knee towards the head. As you lightly land the right foot at the top of your mat. Drop down that back left knee. Feel free to prop a blanket or a cushion under it if it feels right. And once that extra bit of padding, inhale up, exhale down. Imagine that the top of this left thigh is working towards the top of your mat just to bring your pelvis into a bit more of a neutral position. Good. Exhale, take your hands to cactus. And then we're just taking a little bit of a twist. Over towards our right, We're not trying to hook or bind, we're just activating through the spine. Inhale back through center. Exhale, take those hands back down towards the mat, and we're taking this little right hip out on a date. We're working through some retractions. So we retract back, working towards straightening the right leg. We're releasing the torso over the front leg, neck's relaxed. Inhale back to half lunge, coming to fingertips for a little bit of support and to broaden the chest. Exhale, we come back. So just do this to your own breathing pattern, inhaling forwards and then exhaling back. Stay in neutral position, or like our square position for the first few rounds. And then when you feel the front leg begin to open, you might want to change the angles a little bit and change the positioning of the hands. There's no real right or wrong here, just as long as you make sure that your knee continues to always stay pointing out over your toes. Yeah, so if you want your knee to go out to the side, the toes have to go out to the side as well. Inhale as you come forward, exhale as you come back. And we're just really trying to warm up and open through that hip joint. Always listening into both knees, making sure you're not putting yourself to a point of pain. And then when you're ready, we come back to inhale just to our neutral square hip, easy supported lunge. Tuck your toes under, straighten that back leg, press back into downward facing dog. So we've already established our little vinyasa flow for this practice, so we're doing it again. We inhale forward to full plank. We exhale to come back to downward facing dog. Inhale, lower the knees. Little baby cow. Exhale, press back into downward facing dog. It's as easy and as simple as that. Inhale, left leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop the left knee towards the head so you can lightly land that left foot at the top of the mat. Again, if you want to pad underneath your right knee, so you lower it with a cushion or a blanket, please do so. Inhale up, easy half lunge. Exhale, we soften and release the hips towards the floor. We take this front right thigh and then we imagine we're trying to bring it to the front of our mat, bringing pelvis back to neutral, as much as it can be anyway in this position. Exhale, cactus arms. And then a little twist towards our left, activating through the core and the obliques and through the spine. Make sure this knee doesn't start to splay out either side, it's still staying directly out over those toes. Deep breath in, exhale, we unwind from the twist, we take the hands back to the mat, and we move straight into that retraction. Inhale forwards, come to fingertips so there's a bit more breadth for the front of the chest. Exhale, we come back. Inhale forwards, exhale back. And then again, you just continue in your own breathing rhythm, inhaling forwards, exhaling back. And when you feel ready, if you want to change the positioning of the arms and that leg and explore the left hip socket a little bit more, feel free to do so. Again, there's no right or wrong here, as long as you feel that both knees are feeling safe and happy. Yeah, if you start to feel any tension or pain there, then that means we either need to pad the supporting leg or we just need to stay in that neutral backwards and forwards. Hips stay square to the front if needed, yeah? Good. When you're ready, inhale back to your supported half lunge, tuck your back toes under, straighten that back leg. Press back into downward facing dog. Let's move through our flow. Inhale, forward full plank. Press out through the palms of the hands, press out for the shoulder blades. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to softly lower the knees to the floor. Little baby cow. Exhale, we press back. Good. Next sequence, inhale, left leg up nice and, right leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop it to the front of the mat in between the hands. Good, inhale up, high lunge. Wonderful. So from here, same concept of trying to draw the hips towards the floor, square off through the hips. The front of this left thigh is trying to work towards the top end of your mat, but you're keeping the knee nice and straight, pressing out through the back left heel. Exhale, take both hands back down towards the mat, ground down through the left arm, inhale, twist towards your right, looking up at those right fingers. Good, make sure that the big right knee is coming out over the big right toe. Good. Now feel free to stay here if it's comfortable for this left wrist. From here, I'd like you to transition into your full plank. See if you can make it one smooth step back. Stacking right foot on top of left. Feel as if someone's pulling up your hips. So too often I see people trying to imagine that they just need to be that diagonal line, but you really want to press out through the supporting left hand, out of the shoulder and lift up a little higher. It's okay for there to be a curve on the underside of the left body. And then we're going to lower slowly to full plank. Exhale back. See what I've done? We've already done the start of the flow. Inhale those knees down. Little baby cow. Exhale, we come back. Yeah, we just continue that sequence on the other side. So we inhale the left leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoot the knee towards the head. Lightly land that left foot. Both back legs stay straight. Engage through those core muscles. Inhale up, high lunge. Exhale. Imagine that you're trying to rip them out apart with those legs. Tailbone dropping towards the floor. Take a few breaths here. Imagine that you're lengthening up just as much through the back of the rib cage as through the front. And then when you're ready, exhale, both hands back down towards the mat. We ground down through the right palm this time. Inhale, twist to the left. Looking up at those left fingertips. Good. Keep thinking about trying to lower the hips towards the floor if you can. Left knee stays pointing out over toes. And again, you have the option to stay here if this right wrist isn't very happy today, or really engage your core muscles. I want you to hit the left foot super light, and you're just going to pick it up and stack it on top of the left. Keep pressing up out of the shoulder joint and out through that right hand. Imagine someone's pulling on your hips. Relax through the back of the neck or wherever is comfortable for you. One more deep breath in. Exhale. Come to plank. Inhale to hold. Exhale, we press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, softly lower those knees, little baby cow. Exhale, we come back to downward facing dog. Wonderful. Good. From here, we continue on with the next sequence. So we're going to inhale that right leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop it to the front of the mat, in between the hands. Wonderful. From here, we're going to do a little bit of a retract back. Use this left foot as a power source to launch ourselves up to standing. Woo. Challenging our balance. And it's almost like we want to kiss that left knee. Good. From here, I want you to feel like you're unfurling to fly into your warrior three. Drop that left hip so it's level with the right. Reach out through fingertips, whether that's T-shape or out in front of you. If you're feeling a little wobbly, hands come to the floor. Yeah. And then we're going to move through some toe taps. So as we exhale, we bend the supporting right leg, and we're going to tap the left toes to the far right side of our mat. And then inhale, we come back up. Exhale, we tap those toes all the way to the far left. Inhale, back up. And then as though you're sighing, exhale, drop the left toes back down towards the mat. Inhale up, high lunge. Exhale, take both hands back down towards the mat. And press back into downward facing dog. Move through your vinyasa flow. Inhale, forward, full plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, knees soften towards the floor, little baby cow. Exhale, we press back. Inhale, the left leg comes up nice and high this time. Exhale, sweep it to the front of the mat in between the hands. We retract back. Now it's the back right foot, which is the springboard. And we draw that right foot in, right knee in towards the chest. Reach in like we're trying to give it a little squeeze. Drop the forehead towards the knee. And then inhale, unwind and float into warrior three. Good. Drop the right hip now so it's level with the left. Press out through that back left heel. And then we do our toe drop. So we bend the supporting left leg, and then the right toes go to the far left side of the mat. Inhale up. Exhale. Left toes to the far left side. Inhale up. And then exhale like it's a sigh almost. We lower softly into high lunge. Inhale to hold. Exhale, both hands down towards the mat. And then we press back into downward facing dog. Let's all drop the knees down towards the mat and just take a moment or two in child's posture. Whether that's with extended arms, extended child, or full child's hands behind you. Arms facing up, arms can bend, shoulders can roll forwards. And just take a couple of breaths there. Let the breath steady back out. Acknowledge the warmth you've already built up in the body. Notice what felt great and what maybe felt a little bit sticky or uncomfortable. And notice those things without judgment, simply awareness. To move on, we bring our hands back to extended child's posture if you weren't there already. Inhale to hands and knees, tuck toes under, press back into downward facing dog. Deep breath in and out here. Then when you're ready, we'll inhale the right leg up nice and high. Exhale, scoop it to the front of the mat in between those hands. Ground that foot down. Then we're just going to bunny hop this left foot in slightly so that you can feel the left heel can touch the floor. And then inhale, press through soles of the feet so that you can inhale up to standing. Now I want you to really square off through the hips, and you should be in a position where your feet are on train tracks and parallel rather than walking on a tightrope. Yeah? Good. From here, inhale to lift and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, take your heart center down forward over that right leg. And I want you to stop where you find that flat back position. Now, if you're feeling any sensitivity in your lower back, you're feeling quite tight in the front leg, you can bring your hands down onto that leg for support. Just make sure you're not pressing into your kneecap. Hands are either above or below the knee. If you feel comfortable, hands can stay on the hips and you can continue to fold down to bring the heart center closer to the leg and to work the crown of the head towards the floor. But wherever you are, I want you to think about drawing your right hip back and your left hip slightly forward so that you're squaring off through the hips. Deep breaths here. Now feel free to stay there if this feels right, or maybe you bring those left fingertips down towards the mat, just slightly ahead of the right foot, and then we're going to internally twist to come into our revolved triangle, bringing right fingertips up towards the sky, maybe looking at those fingertips as well if it's okay for the neck. Yeah, notice that my hips haven't splayed out to either side. They're still neutral. So yes, I am working towards stacking my right hips somewhat on top of my left, but they're not pushing out to the side. One more deep breath in. To release, we simply exhale to take the right hand back down towards the mat. We're going to bend this knee as much as we need to ground the hands down into the floor. And then simply walk ourselves back into our downward facing dog. Keep rotating those shoulders out and up the spine, engage through your core muscles. Nice and strong here. Press through pad the hand. Then we move through our flow. We inhale forwards, full plank. Exhale, we come back. Inhale, soften the knees towards the floor. Little baby cow. Exhale, we press back. Good. Same sequence on the left. Inhale, left leg up nice and high. Exhale, sweep it to the front of the mat in between those hands. And then again, we bunny hop this left foot in just slightly so the heel can land on towards the floor. And then we inhale to come up. Woo. If you take a wobble, we never beat ourselves up. Square off the hips to the front. Make sure that your feet are on train tracks. Perhaps this time you want to take your hands behind you and you can grab onto opposite elbows. Or you might like to come to a reverse prayer if it feels comfortable for your wrists. That doesn't feel great for my wrists today, so I'm just going to hold on to opposite elbows. From here. And again, hands can stay on hips if you prefer. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, the heart center comes forward. We imagine someone's pulling on the crown of our head to reach towards the opposite wall. Again, just stop at the flat back position first. Allow your legs a chance to just really settle into this posture. And we're actively engaging through the front of this thigh as well. So the legs don't have to be super straight, it can be a little bit bent, but you want to feel as though the kneecap is drawing up towards that left hip. Feel free to release the hands onto the leg for some support, or hands stay behind you and you begin to release the heart center down towards the thigh. Crown of the head draws now towards the floor instead of the wall in front of you. Hold here for a few breaths. Nice deep breaths in and out. Keep squaring off those hips. Left hip comes backwards, right hip comes forward. And only if you wish to move on do you take the right hand down now towards the floor, slightly ahead of the left foot. And you can start with the left hand on left hip as you revolve into the triangle. And again, notice my hips haven't moved out to the left or out to the right. Maybe we reach the left fingers up towards the sky and look up at those left fingers if it feels comfortable for us. Relax as much as you can through the back of the neck. Nice deep breaths in and out here. I really like to imagine someone's pulling on my left fingertips to help me deepen the twist. You're really feeling it super strongly out through the outside edge of the left leg. One more deep breath in, a little bit more height before you exhale to take the left hand back down towards the floor. Bend this left knee as much as you can so you can ground down through those palms and simply walk and step back into your downward facing dog. Good, let's move through one more flow. Inhale forwards, full plank. Feel as though you're almost floating, like you could just fly off here. And then exhale, we come back. Inhale, lower those knees softly. A little baby cow. Open through the heart center as you exhale to come back. Downward facing dog. Lovely. From here, we're going to come into our king pigeon posture. So inhale, bring that right leg up nice and high. Start with your hips square to begin with. And imagine someone's pulling on those right toes, but pulling them towards the wall behind you. And notice how that's going to naturally drop your left heel towards the floor. Then, feel like you've glued your hands where they are. They're not going to shift. They're not going to change weight. But you're going to open up through the right hip and just take the right toes a little higher in your three-legged dog. Maybe you want to bend that right knee. Draw the heel towards the buttocks, taking a little bit of a front of the thigh stretch. One more deep breath in, exhale, square off through the hips, and then you're going to take this right knee behind your right wrist, and you'll notice that your right foot is ending up somewhere between left hip and left hand, yeah? Turn your gaze really quickly, just to make sure that that back left leg is falling directly out from your hip, so it's not splaying off to the side. You shouldn't be able to see it peeking off to the side. Similarly, it should be pointing towards your right shoulder, falling straight from the hip. If it feels comfortable for your lower back, inhale up onto fingertips and just find a little bit more height through the spine. Before you exhale to fold forward and just stop at that first point of resistance. Check in with your right knee. Is it feeling happy here? Is it feeling safe? Or do you feel that there's some quite strong tension or discomfort, or it feels a bit gristly, like there's bone grinding on bone, or there's like a snappy sensation? If any of that kind of feeling happens, roll out of the posture. And you can do just another simple glute stretch, maybe just even a cross leg. Inhale up, exhale forward, yeah? You're still loosening up and opening up through that hip joint if you do that posture. If you're happy in your king pigeon posture, then we stay here. A little tiny bit of a flex through this foot. Nothing crazy, but a little tiny flex is going to help you to activate those areas where you feel the stretch the most. Close down your eyes and choose to not really worry about what you look like. You know, we're not trying to create a perfect picture when we practice yoga. I think Instagram culture kind of breeds into that a little bit, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not about the picture perfect finish. It's about the journey and the process. Yeah, and what are you learning about your body and your mind and your heart when you practice yoga? If you're ready to move deeper, maybe, I know you can't see super well, maybe you want to stack your forehead onto two fists. Or maybe it's just one fist. Maybe it's flat palms, yeah? Or if you're feeling super open, the forehead can come all the way to the floor, and then you reach the arms forward. And we hold there for a few breaths. To come out of the posture, we inhale to look forward slightly. Exhale, walk those hands back in so that they're framing that front foot. Use the strength of your arms and your core muscles here, and I want you to pick up this right leg and then press back into downward facing dog. Yeah, from here, walk out your dog for a few rounds, a few little heel presses just to get the blood flowing back through the right hip. Feel free to sway the hips from side to side as well if that feels nice. Before returning to stillness, we move in the same sequence on the left now. So we inhale to three-legged dog, hips square. Imagine that someone's pulling on those left toes to help drive the right heel towards the floor. Only if it feels right for you should you open up through the left hip and take those toes a little higher. Make sure you keep pressing actively through the palm of the left hand. So you try and keep your torso quite square to the floor. Maybe the knee can bend. You can take a little bit of an upper quad stretch. Front of thigh stretch. And then exhale, square off through the hips and glide the left knee behind the left wrist. And again, this left heel is now somewhere. Mine's always a bit closer towards my right hip, but it's also lining up with my right wrist. Good turn, and just make sure the right leg is rolling directly out from behind the hip. It's not splaying off to the side. And again, you can come up onto fingertips, but only if that feels comfortable for your lower back. Just notice how that's increasing the stretch, the front of that right hip flexor. And then exhale, we release and surrender down. And again, stop where you feel that first point of resistance and just hold there. Relax through the back of your neck. Really let it go. Whew. Maybe even give it a couple of gentle turns or shakes from side to side. I'm going to look forward though so that you can hear my voice. So eyes can close here, and we really just want to be thinking about the breath. So send the breath really strongly and deeply in towards that left hip and that left buttock. Feel as though you can feel all the cells, fibers, and tissues and muscles expand and open outwards. And then as you exhale, there's a real sink and surrender. Feel free to take a big gusty sigh. Yeah, most of you are probably practicing alone. There's no one around. Yeah, so you can make as much noise as you like. Grunts, groans, here, sighs, whatever. Maybe as you feel the hip begin to soften and release, you can bring the forehead onto those stacked fists. Maybe it's flat palms. Maybe it's forehead towards the floor. And again, listen into the left knee. Yeah, what felt fine on the right side might not feel fine on this side. And that's okay. Again, feel free to just softly roll out of the posture. You can come into maybe a deer posture instead. Yeah, with this shin bone parallel to the front end of the mat. This leg bent behind you. You can come forward in that same manner, but because it's less of an extreme angle and less pressure on that front knee joint, it tends to be a happier place for those knees if they're sensitive. Yeah. I'm going to stay in my deer posture on this side. Deep breaths in and out. Really getting the full benefit of the stretch. So these deeper stretches like this, you do want to try to hold them if you can for at least 30 seconds to get the biggest benefit out of the stretch. Yeah, until you hit that 30-second point, you're not really making changes in the body. Once you hit that 30 seconds, you are. When you're ready to come up, we inhale to look forward. We can all come out the same way. So if you're in your king pigeon, you're simply rolling off the knee onto your left hip. If you're in deer, you just walk your hands in to bring yourself upwards. And then we can all use our right hand to help bring that right knee in towards the chest. Good. Hug those knees in towards the chest, give them a squeeze. Forehead drops down onto the knees, and we hold for a few breaths in your cosmic egg. Just to try to let go of any tension that might have cropped up in between those shoulder blades or in the neck at any point during their practice, but particularly during that little forward fold we did. Inhale to bring the forehead back up off the knees. Take your hands behind you, take the feet a little further apart. And we're just going to do a little bit of a windscreen wiper motion with the knees, yeah? So that you're just feeling a bit of a sense of massage through the front of the hip. You can feel the massage through the buttocks as they move through the floor. Good. If it feels nice and you want to hold, you can. You might even want to lower yourself down onto your elbows to increase the stretch more on the outside edge of that upper thigh. It's an elegant position for you to look at me. I'm sorry. Good. Lovely. From here, let's actually, particularly if you are on your elbows, we're going to come all the way down for a second. Coming into this little cosmic egg vibe down on the floor. Take your hands behind your head, interlace those fingers, and then let's just draw the forehead up towards the knees, engaging through the core muscles, yeah? So there should be no strain in the neck. And then inhale, we release down. Good. Come to your happy baby. Feet are pressing up towards the ceiling. The knees are dropping down towards the chest. And you're decompressing through your lower spine, your lower back. You can keep it static, or you can rock the happy baby if you want from side to side. If you've ever seen a baby play with their toes, they actually do this. They hold on to their toes because toes are fascinating when you're that age. And then they rock from side to side. Babies know best sometimes. Ooh. And then we come back to center. Draw those knees together. Now, if you have the time and the inclination and you want to stay here for a little shavasana, you can do so, perhaps soles of the feet on the floor with knees bent, or maybe you want to bring those legs out long, feet are very generous, hip width distance apart, hands flipping out to the side. You can just allow yourself to take a few breaths there. But if you're ready to move on with your day, we roll over onto our sides and we use our hands and arms to help press ourselves upwards. And let's come to an easy seated position, whether that's cross-legged or kneeling. Make sure that the flesh is walked out from underneath your buttocks. You can feel the sit bones drawing down into the mat. Spine long and tall. Hands resting on the knees or the thighs. Just take a second to close your eyes. And to touch base again with your breath. Notice its rhythm and texture at the end of the sequence. And notice how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. And try to notice these things without judgment or attachment. Yeah, sometimes you go through a yoga practice and you still kind of feel a bit gross and icky at the end, and that's okay. Yeah, it could be that there's a lot that your body needs to work through, and that's all a part of the process. Or you might be feeling really calm and relaxed, and if so, that's great. Just enjoy it for what it is. Try not to read into it. Hands come to prayer at heart center. Bow your forehead down towards your fingertips. Take a moment to truly thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to come and practice yoga, to dedicate this safe space for yourself on your mat. Bow your head down towards the floor in gratitude and a moment of surrender towards the earth. We inhale to lift ourselves back upwards. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this practice. As always, if you have any questions or if you have any requests, hit me up in the comments below, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And I really look forward to seeing you again soon.